Welcome back to the Bluechip Breakdown, Vols fans. Happy Tuesday to everybody. In today's video, we'll be talking about our basketball team, baseball team, and we'll also be talking about a couple of things that's coming as far as some changes in college football and why I think that 2025 is going to be the most important recruiting class for our Tennessee Vols, probably over about the next decade or so. But before we get into it, please do us a huge favor, like and subscribe to the channel. All right, so first and foremost, we know that the SEC basketball awards came out for the men's anyway, and Dalton Connect right here gets Player of the Year. That's huge for our Vols. I think that he definitely deserved it. He was the best player in the SEC, and in my opinion, he's the best player in the entire country. He might need to kind of work on his defense just a taste, but very proud of Dalton, and I really hope that he goes on to finish strong for our Vols in the NCAA tournament, but also I hope that he goes on and has a great NBA career. Now, we also had Zakai Ziegler win a Defensive Player of the Year, and I think he definitely earned this. We talked a lot about what he did this past game versus Kentucky and being able to come in and shut down Shepherd. So, I'm very, very happy and proud of Zakai as well. Now, we'll continue to scroll on through. We're going to have some more accolades on here. Right here, we've got Jonas Adu, who is second team All SEC. That's really big for Jonas. And we're not done because we've got an all defensive team. We had two players who made this cut in Zakai and Jonas Adu. All right, so I think that that's really big, obviously, just to give these guys a little bit of extra confidence heading into the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament. And we talked about this yesterday that I feel like really Mississippi State and probably Auburn are the only teams that we'll have to beat in the SEC tournament to guarantee that we can get that number one seed. Some people say we may need to go all the way to the championship. Other people say it really doesn't matter just because it's not a very strong, I guess, NCAA men's, basketball season, right? There's really no teams out there that scare you too much. But for me, I like the way that West bracket looks, especially at that one seed. And if we can see Auburn in the SEC tournament, then that would mean that if they end up on our side of the bracket in the NCAA tournament, then we will have seen them 3 times. Now, this is the kicker, okay? Because I did say that I feel like we may have to beat Auburn, okay, in our second game to just make sure that we can get that first seed in the NCAA tournament. But what if we, do go on to beat them and then we have to see them for a third time? I really don't like our odds, especially in the NCAA tournament setting. So it may end up being better for us to kind of, lose to Auburn in that second round. Of course, I never really want to lose, but y'all already know my whole thing is about winning a national championship. And I think that this team is very capable of doing it. So we'll see how everyone performs coming up here in the next few days, but really looking out for our role players to just play with confidence. We talk about this all the time. Shoot open shots, hit the open shots, work to get open, continue to play good defense, scrap, fight, claw for that basketball in, any way that you possibly can. Anything that you can do to help this team win. You can't be tired. We need maximum effort all the time, and that's what I want to see in this tournament, in the SEC tournament anyway, knowing that we're going to be ready to go into the NCAA tournament. All right, now on to our baseball team. We will be starting conference play versus Alabama this Friday, March the 15th. So really looking forward to that. We'll be down in Alabama for, I want to say, maybe 3 or 4 days or something like that. We've got 3 games versus them. I don't know how long the team will be staying there. But we did have, a couple of, I don't know if I want to call it fireworks, but we had a little bit of an issue where Blake Burke got ejected in the game versus Illinois on Sunday. And Kaysen and I, so Kaysen is my nephew, for those of y'all who don't know. That's P's son, and he's 70 years old. This is his first year of playing travel baseball. So, he's very interested in watching the, college players play. He likes to watch major leaguers play, all of that. So we're sitting down watching Tennessee play. I want to say it was on Friday. But anyway, one of the things that I had noticed is I want to say that it was Blake Burke, okay? He comes in, and it looked like he had called time, but he's still inside of the batter's box. The pitcher throws the ball anyway, and it's a strike. So, Kaysen was like, well, shouldn't the ump have called time? And I said, well, you got to get outside of that box. Don't come into the box until you're ready. So it kind of seems like, I guess Illinois' pitchers just kind of kept doing that, right? Like they kept on trying to pitch before our players were actually ready to bat. But again, don't step into that box until you're ready. Okay, so it sounds like on Sunday, Blake Burke hits a bomb and, he comes around, all the bases as he's rounding third base. He has something to say to the catcher and he ends up getting tossed for it. And I'll just say this, okay? Number one, you don't want to do anything to hurt your team. Okay, we all know that. But at the same time, This is what I love about our baseball team because we play with so much confidence. It's really almost cockiness. And I love it, right? Like with so much swag, the hitting the bombs, bat flips. I mean, that's what we do. This is the bomb squad. Everyone on our entire team, we're like 15 deep of players that can hit bombs. We can score points. Our offense is great. And I love that confidence with this team, and I hope that we will continue to carry that confidence. And I know that we will, because it seems like since Tony V has been the coach up in Knoxville, we've played with this type of energy, with this type of swag, and I just hope that that carries over right to every other program that we have. And it does kind of seem like it, but especially for the football team, you want your guys playing almost like the U back in the '80s, right? Where it's kind of like, we know that we're good. We're going to let you know that we're good, and we're going to have fun doing it. I love that just because it will attract more players that are ballers, and it's just going to help you continue to be a really good team. So I love our baseball team. Okay, we do have a game today versus Eastern Kentucky, and Blake Burke is suspended for that game, so he's going to be out, but he will be ready and back for our SEC opener versus Alabama. And hopefully we can get off to a good start in the SEC. We're currently ranked number 2 in the SEC. Alabama's ranked number 5. So that would be a big win for us, if we can end up winning that series. But obviously in baseball, you're not going to win all of the games. And, I just hope that we can win the series. That's the biggest thing. But looking forward to continuing to be able to watch this baseball team go out there and go to work. It's a whole lot of fun. So if y'all haven't checked them out yet, on Friday, y'all will get the opportunity to. I believe that game will be on SEC Network. All right, so in the last segment of the day, we're going to be talking about college football changes are coming. I've heard a lot of talking heads, analysts, all that stuff have been kind of rumoring or, kind of like hinting at this. And it does sound like by the end of this week, we should have some pretty explosive news. Exactly what that news will be, I don't know, but we do feel very strongly that at some point very soon, the Big Ten and the SEC will be breaking away from the rest of college football. And it's going to look a lot more like the NFL. Now, what does this mean for our Tennessee Vols? Well, it means that this year in recruiting is going to be very big because let's just say, okay, we break away from everyone else in college football. What that means is we'll probably have some, out of conference games that will be Big Ten-esque teams, right? But they're all going to be big boy programs. So there's no more slouch games. There's no more UT Chattanoogas or, Akron's. There's no more of those types of games. So it's more like, again, an NFL schedule where you're playing up against really good competition all the time. And to be able to sustain that, I believe, okay, for this team, the number one thing is always going to be quarterback. We've got to make sure that we're continuing to go out and get quarterbacks. We got a good one, obviously, in Nico, who's already on campus. Jake Merklinger is also already on campus. And then we've got GMAC coming in next year, but we have to continue to find more guys. So in 2026, 27, 28, so on and so forth, the staff has got to continue to identify the same caliber of quarterbacks, guys that it looks like are taller. That's what they like, 6'4" and up, and are also mobile and have a really strong arm, can throw at that touch and all of that good stuff. We've got to continue to recruit these guys at a very high level. That's going to be number one for this team. And then I would say number two, it's probably going to be center. Okay, center, maybe left tackle, something like that. We're already, really high on David Sanders, board of teams that he likes. We're in his top 3. So we're doing a really good job there. And then there's several other players that we are, kind of in the runnings for, but we need to continue to find that center because the center is a big part of what we do in this offense. And then obviously we have to continue to find some players that can get after the quarterback. We need some good wide receivers. We need everything, right? But I'm just kind of telling you in a sequence that I see it, how this coaching staff needs to try to attack the recruiting trail moving forward. But basically what we are looking at is a situation where we're about to start paying players. And I think that also once we move away from, the rest of the NCAA and all of that, we'll kind of see the SEC and the Big Ten implement some rules that can put a cap on certain things. There will be a salary, okay? That's definitely coming. And we know that because if you pay attention to what's happening with these programs, okay, all of these chancellors, the presidents of the schools, they all have inside knowledge, okay? They're all being talked to by Greg Sankey, by Tony Petitti about what the next steps are going to be. So we see that Tennessee creates a nonprofit organization to help us be able to pay players. So we know that that's something that is coming. And I think that that's coming very soon. I told y'all, I think that by August, we'll have something kind of set in stone for a salary of some sorts, especially for the Big Two. And that's a big part of the reason I think it's going to happen a lot sooner than people think, because I feel like they will want to implement as many things as possible for the big change that's coming, which again is the Big Two separating and turning into kind of like a minor league for the NFL. But number one, okay, salary, that's coming. We know that that's coming, but that's good because now it's going to kind of be like a set standard. There will be some sort of a salary cap, or at least a cap on, probably how much you can pay those players from the school's perspective. Now, NIL will still exist because you cannot put a cap on how much a person can make off of their name, image, and likeness. So that will continue, and that will still be a driving force that I think will kind of keep the powers that be, the upper echelon of teams, and I definitely believe that Tennessee is one of them, will keep them kind of at the top. I also think that the transfer portal is going to have a cap. I think it may kind of come down to maybe, I don't know, one time per 4 years. It's going to be something like that. And then maybe you can transfer again after you graduate if, you still have some eligibility left. That's just the way that I see it. I don't know, but there will be some sort of a cap, some sort of a limit on how much players can transfer, because the players will essentially be employees either of the schools or of the conferences, however, or of the entire league. I don't know how that's going to work, but they will be employees of some sort. So you can now start to set all these caps, all these limits. And I really feel like it's going to kind of make college football better. Okay. I also think that as far as the scholarships and all that goes, I think that it'll be very similar to what the scholarship limits were with the NCAA. They may add a few more, maybe 10 more, but there will be a cap on it, which is good. I don't like the idea of there being no cap limit on how many scholarships each institution can get, because that could end up hurting us. And that's really what I'm looking at. I'm not so much looking at what's best for college football as a whole. I'm looking for what's best for Tennessee, because college football as we knew it, that's gone. I mean, that's just gone. That's not going to come back. It's going to be two separate leagues of the big boys and then of, some right up under the big boys and then everybody else. So we're going to be playing with the big boys, and I just want to make sure that we're going to get a fair shake. And I'm just trying to think of some other rules. That's probably, those are the biggest ones for me, okay? That's what would mean the most as far as kind of keeping things fair. I think that they'll probably kind of implement some of the rules that we had with the NCAA as far as some data periods for sure, just to make sure that the coaches can get a break, that the high school players can get a break. I think that there'll probably be some sort of almost like an NFL combine type of a thing. At some point, they may try to go to a draft model. I don't know how well that would work, but, if we have some of these billionaires buying portions of schools and teams and things like that, then they may push for something like that. They may say, hey, you know what? Team X is getting in better players than we are, and we've got all these resources. We need to make this a lot more even and more balanced. Let's create a draft like the NFL. I know that conversation will come up. I don't know how far it's going to go, but that's going to come up at some point. So obviously, my whole point is a lot of things will be changing, and this class right here, this 2025 class, is so important because it's going to essentially be, I believe, the last year of almost like a wild, wild west free for all. There's no real rules in place. Tennessee has got to find a way to close out on as many blue chip players as we possibly can, bring them on up to Knoxville so that we have them, because again, it's going to be tough for them to kind of transfer out once the transfer portal rules end up changing. But we've got to get our roster ready. Once our roster is ready, I definitely think that our coaching staff is one of the best in the entire country, and we can outcoach teams like Georgia that really just rely on having a bunch of talent and going out and playing fundamentally sound. We can beat those guys as the talent gap closes. I think that it's closed enough this season, and I think that we can go down to Athens and we can win that ball game. But those are just my thoughts, y'all. Please let me know y'all's down in the comment section. And as always, thank you for staying all the way to the end. Please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.